What is up, guys? Welcome to a brand new video. So today we're going to check out the best champions for each role in 6.23 if you're trying to climb before the season actually starts. The cool thing right now is a lot is actually changing because we keep seeing big buffs or big nerfs, but for no real reason as well. I'm going to give away $10 of RP or the same thing on your server, whichever it is. Just leave the comment, like the video if you do, and I'll draw the winner this weekend. So these are usually a bit longer than my other videos because I go over every single role, so timestamps are going to be down in the description, but let's start with the jungle. Number 2 spot here is going to be Shyvana, and Riot overbuffed her massively, like legit turned her from one of the worst champions into a superstar in like one patch. The damage is nuts, but you also get very tanky. At the moment, you're kind of like a perfect anti-carry if you get ahead. Like you can kill them for sure, but they just can't really kill you. Frozen Mallet kind of seems to solve the issues of being kited around, so you're not able to do a lot more damage. And there's something we don't do necessarily in North America or Europe West that much, but in Korea they do this all the time. Second item every game. Your ultimate changes make you so much more viable. You solo dragons super fast as well, and you're really good early to mid game and a power farmer, so you get more gold and more items. There are a couple of bad things though, like with every champion, late game hyper carries might just ruin you, but I guess it's kind of the same with every single jungler. You're not the best ganker in the world early, and you are kind of weak with just Blood Razor. Like you do need items. The good thing is though, you can farm for the items. And Vi is actually going to be our first spot though, so she kind of suits his meta perfectly. Like she has a lot of damage, an insane amount of damage actually, gets tanky and counters assassins perfectly. All she has to do is press R, right, and they cannot do anything. Also just like any immobile champion actually in general, like she power farms the jungle, which helps more now in this season. The build is kind of set up perfectly to carry at the moment. Warrior, Trinity Force, Deadman, Serix is what I recommend. They all provide some element of damage, but also that tanky side as well, so she doesn't get blown up. A lot of that though is also because of Courage of the Colossus. Like you build more damage, but you have this dumb shield to like keep her alive when she jumps in. You can take objectives quickly with your W damage. You actually scale into the game, which is really rare for a jungler. You gank a lot early, right? You do a lot. You actually get lanes ahead and stuff, but you're still relevant afterwards. You do have to dive in though. If your team is behind, it might get a little bit of a struggle because you have to dive in and actually do some work, and you're also very squishy to start the game. Like Warrior, Trinity Force, no real tank stats yet. The one to watch out for is going to be Hecarim though. I'm not sure he beats out the other two, but he is so strong right now and actually ban worthy. It's different because he builds one damage item, then goes tank and just doesn't die. So it's a little bit different from the others because he doesn't need as much damage. You gank a ton early, right? You farm well. You're kind of the most well-rounded jungler, I think, and you can definitely solo carry a game if you get ahead. Let's move on to the mid laners, and this one is super hard because honestly there are a lot of good ones at the moment, but a few actually stand out. And we're going to do this one a little bit differently as well and kind of split it up. So low elo is going to be Ahri. Ahri is kind of like the anti-everything, so well-rounded that you can pick a blind and she'll do fine. Like at least at lower ranks you can. The higher you get, the more trouble you might have, but she is still definitely top tier. Being so safe with your ultimate means you can make mistakes, but you can also take risks and you're not going to get punished. It's like the easiest way to learn the game is to actually do this stuff but not die for it and not lose for it. You have wave clear, you're very easy to play, you can miss all of your skill shots and you can still kill someone. Also you have really good roaming because you can like ultimate in and actually get through wards. The bad thing about Ahri though, and especially at high relo, is tanks really cock block you like massively. You're not the best in a tank meta in my opinion because they block your charm. They block like either your W damage, for example, your ultimate damage, and you can't get to the squishies at the back. For high low, it's actually going to be Lux, and she's like the ultimate solo carry champion. There are loads of really bad ones out there at the moment with the new skin, which is awesome by the way, but she is actually so good at putting her team on her back and not needing anybody else. You are high risk and high reward in my opinion. If you miss position, you can like lose the entire game yourself, but if you play her well, you can win the entire game yourself. Like get a pick and you just lead to Baron or an inhib or like a one team fight. She's actually kind of easy to play if they aren't aggressive really. You sit back, you poke, you look for a bind, but the bad stuff really is you are mobile and you're fully skill shot reliant. If they get on top of you, you're definitely going to be screwed, and also if you miss your skill shots, you do no damage. Like if you miss every single bind in a game or every single ultimate, then you are going to do absolutely nothing. So that's kind of like our number 2 spot split in half, I guess, but number 1 is going to be LeBlanc. Now people have started to figure out how she works. She is nuts. The mark system with her Q is really overpowered once you know how to use it properly, and once you like unlock that, it really does make the champion so strong. People still aren't sure how to beat her either, and in my opinion there is like actually less counterplay now in some situations, especially if you are good with LeBlanc. You Q someone, you W away, then you activate that W back to be where you were first, and Q with your ultimate for a sneaky one shot. It's actually really effective and nobody expects it. You have wave clear as well, which is much better. Now that was her biggest weakness before the rework, right, which they just gave her some wave clear. That was nice, right? You can do some sneaky stuff with your clone, like scouting as well. You still have your one-shot capability, and you are still the anti-mage you used to be. You have really good matchups right now. One of the biggest problems though is if you mess up your mark, you are really boned. Like your damage goes down a massive amount and you are still low health. So if you misplay, you can easily get one shot. So let's move on to AD carries, the best role by far, obviously. There shouldn't be too much surprise here though with Vayne at number 2. The crit build is just way too good on her right now. Plus she's actually like the natural counter to tanks, but also just the natural counter to assassins. Like she's one of the few AD carries who can actually outplay someone diving onto you. Really, you're kind of like the anti-meta, I guess, actually, while doing good damage early and scaling into late game. Probably one of the best actually to scale as well, which doesn't make sense. So your stealth can't be countered anymore, which is actually a really big thing. Like usually you could put down a pink ward and that'd be it, but now it's just way too strong for fights because you can't actually see where she goes. You have your W damage for tanks, your Q damage for squishy targets to kind of screw both of them. Your lane phase as well is nowhere near as weak as it used to be because of redemption supports. It sounds kind of strange, but actually these supports who build redemption like Janna, Sona, that's kind of how I'm grouping them, like Nami for example as well, right? These guys are really good at protecting weaker AD carries, and now they're strong and you're strong together, it makes you really overpowered. There aren't as many one-shot champions around anymore either. It gives you a bit more time in a fight, which is exactly what you want, but the bad stuff is you are weak to burst. Like LeBlanc is coming back and probably going to bone you. Rylai's and Leandri's actually is another thing. The poke combo for supports is going to get really annoying soon because it's 700 gold cheaper, so we're going to see more Bram, more Vel'Koz, more AoE damage, and that is actually kind of a counter to Vayne anyway. Now number 1 is going to be Twitch though this patch. So the new stealth lasting so long, activating so fast, your W for more wave clear and a better trade just makes him so much better in the preseason. Also we have the new Blade of the Ruined King, the new crit build. It's making him just a whole ton better than he used to be. That's now like much more deadly in team fights, which he was already really good at. Your lane phase is stronger now I think anyway, especially with fervor. Actually you're able to get some really good trades. You kind of stack up the fervor and then use the poison with the extra AD. Your Q duration means you're better at roaming and there's more chance to get something good out of it. Also just better escapes in my opinion because it activates so fast. Your ultimate plus fervor plus crits is insane AoE damage, but you start the game strong, you finish the game strong, and it's the same thing with Vayne. Like defensive supports help a lot. You are still a mobile though, and you can be easily focused, and you need items to actually do a lot of work. So there are a few downsides, but the good stuff way outweighs that bad stuff. The one to watch out for AD is going to be Jhin, and crit Jhin is a lot better than you probably think it actually is. Like it's one of the top tier AD carries at the moment. He still does well early, but he just is better now into the late game. You can do a lot more with your auto attacks. It's going to surprise a lot of people, but you seriously pack a punch early and late game. So let's go to the top lane, and the number 2 spot is actually really hard to pin down, but I think Darius in general is going to be the one to go for. I say it's really hard because there are loads of top laners that are good right now, but just for Darius in general, I guess Courage of the Colossus and his heals are so dumb, and it makes it really hard to trade with him. He's just really effective in the lane phase at least, and I think in lower and like mid elo, so anything actually honestly up until like diamond, that's a really big deal because you can get a big lead and then you keep crushing 1v1. Your sustain in the lane phase wins almost any longer trade with bleed, and your ultimate, you only really need 1 damage item and you can get very tanky afterwards. He's just really hard to play against 1v1, which is what we just said, but especially if you get behind like playing against him, he can just dive you over and over and there's not really much you can do anymore. In team fights, it's a little bit better after his rework, which was a while ago now, but he just needs that 1 reset in a team fight or skirmish and it's basically 1. That makes the first kill way more important for both sides. Like you need to make sure that you get the first kill to reset, and the enemy team needs to make sure you don't get it. You do still get kite around a lot though. That is like the biggest problem with Darius and why he's not just completely broken, and you don't have the same carry potential as some others because of that, I think. So Poppy is going to be our number 1 though. Courage is a big part, and your passive shield as well, plus the damage you get from a kit. Like the courage shield plus passive shield is so ridiculous when you dive into a team fight. You are actually a tank, right? That's how I'm going to class her, but you're one that does damage if not more than a carry pick. That makes 0 sense. That's not how it's supposed to work. Your W bubble thing like can outplay a lot of dashes and stuff if used at the right time, especially Vayne actually. It cancels her tumble and it's so annoying to play against. I think she's actually very easy to play as well. She has a perception of being quite hard, and I actually honestly believe like if you're really good with Poppy, you can kind of show that off, but really you don't even have to use your ultimate, to be honest. You can just run in. Your lane phase is very good, so are your team fights, and for a tank you actually scale pretty well. Like you reach a point where you don't die but you can still kill people. One issue you're going to have with her is she is still just a tank though, I guess, kind of. Like you're going to have the same problems as other tanks where AD carries get more and more items. They're going to screw you harder and harder. I think it's also easier at some elos to carry with damage than it is to carry with a tank. Like Poppy is going to be really strong. She's going to do a lot of damage. She's going to last a long time, but if your team doesn't follow up, then it's kind of like wasted. The one to watch out for is going to be Renekton though with Courage of the Colossus. This is sleeper overpowered, I think, honestly. It's so good. Your trade trades in the lane phase is disgustingly good because you go in, you combo, you shield that absorbs like the return damage and you just run away. You're still very good in team fights. You do a lot of damage while having a lot of health as well. You're not that popular, but really good and seriously good in the lane phase. So supports are going to be last, my bad, but nothing is really changing again until they nerf Redemption. Like, it's so strong. Please nerf that item. So Blitz is number 2, basically because he can build Knight's Vow and Redemption together. Both items are very strong, so both together is even better. It sounds really stupid, but that's actually legit the reason. Like, he can build both, and so he is just naturally stronger. And he's also a counter to immobile ADs and mage supports, which we have everywhere at the moment. So he is one of the best kill lane supports, right? Provides a lot of damage. He pairs with basically anyone. Life is much easier versus mages and not tanks, which is what we have right now. Mid to late game, you're going to hard carry with just one god hook if you manage to get it, but that is also a bad thing. Like, you're an all or nothing support, right? If you miss your hooks, you're useless. You can't really just sit back. You can't just defend your team, which can be very good versus dive teams, and that is what a lot of the other supports do. Like Janna or Nami, for example, sit at the back and just defend their team. Janna sadly is going to be number 1, though. You all know I hate Janna as well, so this is like really hurts me to put her number 1. Redemption just makes her OP as balls. Nobody even comes close anymore. You have hyper carry AD carries everywhere who need protecting. That just makes her even better than she already is. Your shield can be used to go aggressive and provide damage in the lane phase. Your ultimate heal is nuts, especially combined with Redemption. Now you have like 2 AoE heals. You're the perfect anti-assassin champion, but tanks also do not stand a chance getting to your AD carry. Like bruisers, for example, as well. They dive in and you can protect and peel easily. The bad side is you have no real damage though. You're only as good as your AD carry, really. You can keep them alive, sure. You can play like a god, but if they do no damage, it doesn't really matter. Another thing is she tilts me off the face of the earth. That's definitely a bad point. And also, you're not that active in the lane phase, right? You want to get to team fights. You kind of sacrifice your lane a little bit. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Good luck for the RP. Just remember to comment, like the video if you do. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in my next video.